June 16th, 2017, by Yoda, Chapter 12, The New Scriptures as written by Sananda, Jesus. By Catherine E. May, PSYD, on 9/5/13. Prime Creator has spoken. You have been given the new commandments for Ascension. These carefully stated universal laws need no interpretation. There are no hidden meanings or mysterious inferences in these words. They are simply the true expression of our Creator, giving us help to carry us through the coming days. No person on planet Earth will be exempted from these laws, and no person will be excluded from the privilege of ascension except by their own choices. Why would anyone want to be excluded from this glorious opportunity? It is a simple matter of being willing to accept the existence of a life after death and accepting the idea that you are each in charge of your own destiny. In addition, there are many who have subscribed to the religion of scientific exploration, which requires that nothing is believable which cannot be seen and touched by the five senses. This limited review has achieved much in terms of understanding the physical world around you, but it cannot offer understanding of the mysteries of life in higher dimensions. Many people have become so rejecting of anything that sounds like religion that they will reject these teachings simply because they have our names on them. To them, you can say it is our desire to end the practice of all organized religion in favor of a direct conversation with each of you personally. There is no requirement that you adhere to any cult-like organization or any elaborate set of rules or behavior beyond what you read here. We do not wish to gain converts to a particular practice or belief system. We want to teach you how to reconnect with the God in you, your sacred I Am presence. There is no need for any other guidance outside yourself. We also wish to introduce you to the heavenly host. This general title refers to all the enlightened beings in spirit form, from Prime Creator, Mother, Father God, and me, to the archangels of the ascended masters who are old souls working with us to help you along your path. They are beings with much experience and expertise in the way of three-dimensional life, and they understand well what will be required for you to complete your ascension. These beings have not often been spoken of in the Bible or other writings except in relation to their earthly incarnations, except perhaps for me and my mother, Mary. Kuan Yin's popularity in Asia is an exception. Thanks to his work to establish the prosperity funds to rescue planet Earth from economic slavery, Saint Germain is becoming more well known in the Western world. Their influence is profoundly felt on the surface of the planet, even if their presence is not yet acknowledged. These are the ones who guide and look after you, and their encouragement and direction can be felt by anyone whose heart and mind is open. You generally refer to their messages and intervention as intuition. These are your family, dear ones. They have looked out for you for eons. Many of you have worked closely with them during your time between lives and even now, during your sleeping hours. You too are able to travel to leave your bodies and visit higher dimensions. You may remember dreams from childhood when you talked with God or when you saw those who had passed on children. Children, of course, are closer to their hearts than adults who have been acculturated to the denial of all things extraterrestrial. You will laugh when you arrive in higher dimensions and find how tiny your peephole into the cosmos has been. Now let us discuss your approach to sexuality. We have at times encouraged a rather straight-laced approach to sexual behavior because of the especially lascivious attitudes present on the planet. We have tried to balance the extremes when necessary, but as a culture, you have matured to a degree. There are still objectifying attitudes, especially in the media and on the internet, but it is time for you to step into a more reasonable, open-minded approach to understanding your sexual drives and your reproductive potential. We in the higher dimensions have no moral judgments about who has sexual relations with whom, except where children or women and captive are concerned. You have free will and will learn your lessons well by making your mistakes and reaping the results in your own lives. Many a good marriage has been destroyed by infidelity, but have you ever noticed how frequently the wronged party moves on to another, more satisfying relationship, or how often both partners find lasting love after the breakup? We see you caught up in your passions, your temptations, your lapses. We sympathize with you because the sexual drive is very strong in your species, and partnerships are best strengthened and lengthened by a fulfilling sexual relationship. Unfortunately, many religious teachings, in an effort to control people through their sexual feelings, have created the impression that God despises sexuality, especially if it is fun and not for the purpose of reproduction. This is nonsense. You are given this gift of sexual pleasure to enjoy and to share in a loving relationship. I do not need to tell you that sex with a stranger is unsatisfying, unfulfilling, and downright strange. Sex has been described by some as the glue that holds a relationship together during hard times. This is true. The strains of everyday life, issues of money and raising children in a culture that is hostile to them, all contribute to feelings of discontent and frustration, which can be soothed or worsened by the feeling tone of the partnership. An admiring mate, whether married or not, can be a tremendous help when life strikes a blow, and a comforting sexual encounter can heal almost any difficult challenge. We wish you love, and in a partnership that means physical love. Much has been made of the idea that homosexuality is considered a forbidden abomination in God's eyes. This is not true. There are now many on the planet who took on the challenge to come to this life in the body of one whose sexual impulses had been modified to create attraction to others of the same sex. It has been a courageous contract, one which guaranteed difficult emotional adjustments, challenges to one's self-esteem, and sometimes physical threats. Those who volunteered for this life challenge knew they would be confronting the common belief systems, especially those of the fundamentalist sects. This was our desire, to create a situation which would eventually result in exposing the hatred behind bigotry, just as was done during the civil rights era. The Western world has moved very quickly in relative terms to adopt a tolerant attitude toward alternative lifestyles. We are pleased with this rapid change and are grateful to our courageous brothers and sisters who put their lives on the line to make it happen. It has forced the hands of those who were rigidly attached to their religious dogma, opening a crack in the armor, you might say. As more and more people defend their friends who are gay, who live loving and productive lives in partnerships that are every bit as stable and nurturing as their heterosexual counterparts, and as their child rearing expertise has proven equally supportive to children who might not otherwise have a stable home, the world has had to acknowledge that gay people are not so different after all. You see, in terms of opening doors to tolerance and love, this was a dramatically successful experiment. Now that the reptilians have left the arena of global financial systems, there will also be a rapid shift in priorities as people who are tired of the rat race and at last able to reduce their hours to find satisfaction in the family life, creative endeavors, and service to the community. With the war machine winding down, there will be enormous amounts of money available for amenities which make life more comfortable and more fun. Charitable funding is also on the increase, and we will begin to be felt as an engine of productivity in the arts, in music, drama, dance, and other creative endeavors. A new respect for artistry is already beginning to be felt as the same old gyrating, scintillly dressed popular music stars lose their luster by comparison with truly talented singers and songwriters who bring their heartfelt songs to a public that is hungry for real meaning. The reptilian preference for peddling cheap and tacky in every area of life is now at the end. Humanity will now rise to the level of artistic expression which has been seen before, when beauty and excellence was celebrated as in the European Renaissance and the height of the Greek and Roman period. What a pleasure it will be to see galleries and museums, parks and homes filled with the astonishing, beautiful creations of which human mankind is capable. You, our dear ones, will have the opportunity to explore your true desires, and it will create a new freedom in your everyday lives that will quickly flow over into new attitudes toward anything which is restrictive or oppressive. This is the new opening of portals to a high dimensions having their effect. You, the first readers of these words, are on the forefront of the movement to free all from psychological oppression, the last bastion of three-dimensional imprisonment. You will very quickly reclaim your right to think for yourselves, experience your own feelings, and decide for yourselves whether you feel the presence of your loving Mother, Father, God, whether you too can hear my voice when I embrace you and speak softly into your ear. Faith is not blind. Beloved brothers and sisters, it is based in experience. You read these words, you feel the truth in them, and you feel relief because they are simple thoughts that express what you have always known in your heart. These messages will only be upsetting to someone who has been convinced to blindly accept something they do not truly feel, but have adopted because someone made an internally consistent argument that appealed to their ego brain. If your religious beliefs make you feel superior, they are wrong. If they make you feel shame, they are mistaken. If they make you feel fear, they are coercive. If it makes you angry or anxious when others do not agree with you, you are vibrating at a low level and you need to raise your love quotient rather than invest in defending a set of ideas or principles, no matter how right you may think they are. These truths I give you now are timely because of your preparation for ascension. In earlier days, it was timely to emphasize other principles because of the conditions people were living under. You have evolved. You have access to a far greater information because of your internet, and you are more familiar with the basic concepts of astronomy, physics, and economics. The concept of space travel, for instance, is not entirely strange to you, even though your governments have made every effort to keep secret those things which are becoming common knowledge to the entire populace. There are a few individuals who have not seen spacecraft in their skies, and the sightings are increasingly daily. The institution of free education for all through high school, while not a perfect system, has created a populace in the Western world and parts of the Far East where 100% literacy is the norm. Compare this to just 150 years ago. I am now able to talk with you about the waves of plasma energy from the central sun in the center of the universe, and you read on. When we mention that your DNA strands are being activated, you have enough familiarity with the concepts to discuss it and ask questions. Even the ability to write these words in English and accept to have an audience far beyond your shores is a remarkable phenomenon. You see, this is why we need a new version of the scriptures. Much of the old writings are in language which now sounds stilted or unintelligible, and much has been skewed over time to satisfy the desire for restrictive dogmatic teachings with which to frighten and control people. Many of you are familiar with A Course in Miracles, which is a large work which I dedicated about 40 years ago. It is difficult for many to tackle and far more complex than the simple and direct words I give you here. Now is the time for clear, definitive answers to pressing questions, a time to reach the greatest number of people possible. Now is the time for action. As you read these messages, allow the feelings of my heart to speak to you. Let the love of Prime Creator speak through these pages. Let Mother God's tenderness and Father God's strength flow through your veins. Then feel Mother God's feminine strength and Father God's masculine tenderness soak into every cell of your body. Feel the light and radiant expression of love I feel when I connect with them and with Prime Creator. I send a great expression of tenderness and joy, which is the essence of our beings, to you, beloved ones. Feel our embrace, our admiration for you, and you raise yourselves up and rejoice with us. It is truly a magnificent time to be alive. I love you all, my brothers and sisters of the stars. I am your Sananda, Jesus. Transcribed by Catherine E. May, September 2nd, 2013, 9 p.m. EDT. Fendi Canada, www.honeedslight.org.